February 7, 2018. Dusk settled over Syria. Near the Euphrates River, a detachment of U.S. Army Special Forces and their Kurdish allies prepared for a long night. Their mission disrupt the flow of weapons and fighters across the river. The air was thick with anticipation. Soldiers checked their equipment meticulously, their faces intense with focus. The strategic importance of the location was clear. Across the river, a force of Russian mercenaries, hardened veterans, planned their own operation. Tensions were high. The fight for Syria was a tangled web. Emotions ran high as night fell, and no one could predict what would happen next. The first Russian artillery shells exploded without warning. The ground shook violently, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. American positions were instantly engulfed in fire and chaos. Soldiers scrambled for cover, shouting orders amidst the deafening blasts. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced, recalled Sergeant John Smith, his voice tight with the memory. The sky was lit up with fire and the noise was unbearable. The initial barrage was just the beginning. Soldiers ducked and covered their heads as explosions erupted all around them. Wave after wave of artillery rained down, pinning the Americans and their allies. Casualties mounted. The situation was desperate. "We were pinned down, unable to move," Sergeant Smith added. "It felt like the end." Through the chaos, American commanders coordinated a response. A quick reaction force, heavily armed and spoiling for a fight, raced towards the besieged outpost, navigating treacherous terrain and enemy fire. Apache attack helicopters roared overhead, their rotors churning the night air. The QRF punched through enemy lines with relentless intensity, their arrival a much-needed boost to the beleaguered defenders. With renewed vigor, the Americans and their allies fought back, their coordination and determination turning the tide of the battle. The tide turned when American air power arrived in full force. F-15E fighter jets, guided by drones and ground controllers, unleashed a storm of precision-guided munitions. Russian vehicles were obliterated, their positions vaporized by the accuracy of the strikes. The airstrikes were relentless and devastating, leaving no room for escape. Faced with overwhelming firepower, the Russian mercenaries were forced to retreat in disarray, leaving behind their dead and wounded. The battlefield was littered with the remnants of the conflict. The battle was a decisive victory for the Americans and their allies, but it came at a heavy cost.